Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I just saw on a little preview of my camera how bad my dark circles are right now. So I greatly apologize for that. I got no sleep last night, and it didn't matter how much concealer I put on today. We are raccooning. Have you guys seen Everything Everywhere All at Once? That whole plot line with Raccoonie just cracks me up every time. So hello, I am Raccoonie today. I have my dark eyes. I'm sure my dark eyeshadow is not helping, but here we are. Today we're going to be doing my October 2022 wrap-up. Before I do that, I do want to address something very, very quickly. You may have noticed that I have not done my Abominable Book Club box unboxing on my channel yet, and the reason for that is because I have not received the box yet. Usually I receive the box about 10 to 14 days after it is shipped to me from the UK. However, it has now been closer to 30 and it has not arrived. I've been in contact with the merchant. Pretty much there's nothing they can do for me until after 42 business days have passed, or working days, I believe is the term they used. So I just have to wait and see if the package turns up. After the 42 business days have passed, they said that they will either replace the box for me or get me a refund because it was somehow lost in transit. So that is what's going on with that right now. I will keep you guys updated on that and how that goes. But yes, that is the reason why the October box is not here yet. To be honest though, if I do get it sometime way later in November or December, I might not even do an unboxing for it and just hopefully continue on with the November box. I am still subscribed to them, just waiting to see what is going on. I also know that there are a lot of strikes over in the UK Royal Mail workforce going on right now, so I do know that the November box may be delayed, but just want to keep you guys updated on that. I have no idea where my package is. They have no way of tracking it, unfortunately, because it was an international package, which really, really sucks, but I am just waiting it out. So if you were wondering why I didn't do that unboxing or why I've posted asking if other people have received their box on Instagram previously, that is why. I haven't gotten it. So there you go. Anyways, let's talk about my October 2022 reading wrap-up. I really wanted October to be strong, and it crushed me because it just wasn't. The books I was really excited to read just really underwhelmed me. So I pretty much have only 3 and 4 star reads right now. Some that I was impressed with, but not blown away by, and some that were really pretty much a slog to get through. And almost all of them are new releases, which is a real bummer. But let's start off with Gallows Hill by Darcy Coates. This is the latest book by Darcy Coates, and I do have a full in-depth review on this. And this was a 3-star read for me. This is one of my least favorite Darcy Coates books that I have read to date, up there with The Haunting of Blackwood House and The Haunting of Lee Harker. I just didn't vibe with the characters. There were so many plot holes in this. The twist was so obvious to me, and this just didn't feel like a classic Darcy Coates book. It just really felt all over the place, and it wasn't brought together. I really could not care about a single one of the characters in this. There were so many characters in this novel that I felt were just there as placeholders or there as ideas, but were never fleshed out. And this was just really, really hard for me to get through. I'll read the back of the book for y'all really quickly. The Hull family has owned the Gallows Hill winery for generations. The sprawling old house has long been perched on top of a hill overlooking the nearby town, jealously guarding the estate's secrets. Their wine wins awards, their business prospers, their family thrives, until Hugh and Maria Hull enter the dark halls of Gallows Hill one last time and are found dead the next morning. People whisper that the curse has awakened once more. It's been more than a decade since Margot Hull last saw her childhood home. She was young enough when she was sent away that she barely remembers its dark passageways and secret corners. But now she's returned to bury her parents and reconnect with the winery. That is its family's legacy. And the bloody truth of what exactly lies buried beneath the crumbling estate. Alone in the sprawling, dilapidated building, Margot is forced to come face to face with the horrors of the past and realize that she may be the next victim of a house that never rests. Okay, y'all. Even the back of the book is not even fully accurate to what happens in the book. I felt very misled by the back of this. I know I said this in my in-depth review, but I really thought this was going to be about witches. It's not at all. Kind of about zombies, kind of about ghosts. I don't really know. Yeah, it's it was all over the place. The effigy was cool. I really liked the effigy, which is just an image in this book, and the imagery is very well described, but I couldn't get into this book. It didn't do it for me. So that was a 3-star read for me. It was a slog to get through, but I did finish it. And if you're a Darcy Coates fan and you want to read everything by Darcy Coates, go for it, but definitely not high on my list of Darcy Coates work at all. Oh, launch that. All right, next up was The Sea of the Stars by Tim Meyer. This was a little cosmic horror novella by Tim Meyer. I love Tim Meyer. I hate cosmic horror. Therefore, this was a 4-star read for me. It's very hard to take a cosmic horror and impress me with it. Tim Meyer is like one of the only authors that comes very close to doing that every time. I love Malignant Summer by him. It's one of my favorite coming-of-age horror stories. It's one of my favorite books that I read last year. This book was fun. This book is creepy. I really think this takes place on the Jersey Shore because a lot of his books take place on the Jersey Shore, but I think this was like an island off of New Jersey. I don't know. I'm going to read the back of the book for y'all really quickly. When two estranged siblings travel to their dead uncle's hoarder house near the shore, they uncover a deep and dark truth, forcing them to confront their troubled pasts. There you go. Really brief. The setting was great. The atmosphere was great. It's got some real like Rosemary Baby vibes going on in this too, which I thought was interesting. I don't necessarily know if the characters are likable characters, but they are compelling to read about. They're very interesting characters, and you kind of get a lot out of them for it being such a short book, which I really appreciated, especially coming from this book where there was like no depth to any of the characters at all. This puts a lot of depth in our two main characters from the very, very get-go. This book is about selfishness. This book is about addiction. This book is about self-harm. So those are the trigger warnings in here, but I did really enjoy this. It was spooky, it was creepy, but at the end it has the weird cosmic horror thing where you get the existential dread and you're not really sure what happened because something comes out of nowhere, and I hate that, but I think Tim Meyer did a very good job with this. So if you're a Tim Meyer fan, you'll probably enjoy that. Okay, then I read The Vessel by Adam L.G. Neville. I just read his other latest release, Cunning Folk, which came out last year, and I do have a full in-depth review on this book as well. I liked this book. I thought it was interesting reading Neville attempting to do something short. I feel like he is known for doing very, very lengthy books. They're usually between like 400 to 500, 600 pages long. This is under 200. So props to him for doing that. That being said, I don't know if I was sold on this story. It kind of had this like Deus Ex Machina, Deus Ex Machina, I don't know, I say both. I think in Latin it would be Ex Machina, right? Like I took Latin for years. I think the proper pronunciation would be Deus Ex Machina, but nobody says that, so whatever. Let's go with Deus Ex Machina because I feel like everybody will go with that. But it's got one of those kind of endings. It's creepy, it's unsettling. The atmosphere in this novel is top-notch. One of the things that Adam Neville is so good at doing is creating a very creepy atmosphere, especially if it's alone in a house. When you're alone in a house or some kind of dwelling, Adam Neville will nail the atmosphere. He will just nail it. The highlight of the ritual is that scene in the cabin in the first half of that book. Like, no one gets out alive. The whole first half of that book is about being trapped in a house. There's that scene in Last Days where they're in the apartment building and they hear, like, somebody coming down the stairs. Ugh! When he does houses and you're alone in the house, it's just so well done. And I think he really set a stage and a setting for a really cool, creepy story, but I just don't think he fully pulled it off. I don't think I liked our main character. I don't think I liked any of the side characters. The creepy woman that is on the cover was creepy, and she was crass, and she was rude, and I feel like her story arc was like tied up with like a nice neat little bow, and that bothered me because I don't think that's how it should have gone. But let me read the back of the book for y'all really quickly. Struggling with money, raising a child alone, and fleeing a volatile ex, Jess McMakin accepts a job caring for an elderly patient, Flo Gardner, a disturbed shut-in and invalid. But if Jess can hold this job down, she and her daughter Izzy can begin a new life. Flo's vast home, Nertha's house, may resemble a stately vicarage in an idyllic village, but the labyrinthine interior is a dark, cluttered warren filled with pagan artifacts. And Nertha's house lives in the shadow of a malevolent secret. A sinister enigma determined to reveal itself to Jess and to drive her to the end of her tether. Not only is she stricken by the malign manipulation of the vicarage's bleak past, he's so descriptive and wordy, but mercurial flow is soon casting a baleful influence over young Izzy. What appeared to be a routine job soon becomes a battle for Jess's sanity and the control of her child. It's as if an ancient ritual was triggered when Jess crossed the threshold of the vicarage, a rite leading her and Izzy to a terrifying critical mass where all will be lost or saved. There you go. This is folk horror again. This is also oddly akin to Rosemary's Baby. That seemed to be like a trend this month unintentionally. If you like Adam Neville, you will probably like this book. If you didn't like Cunning Folk and The Reddening, you might not like this book as much. It's kind of in that same tone as those books. He seems to be stepping away from the style that he did for The Ritual and No One Gets Out Alive, and that kind of bums me out because I really like that style, and he's going more for these cinematic tales because he's writing a lot of screenplays and then adapting them into novels. But I think it's worth a read. It was a 4-star read for me. I enjoyed it, but not my favorite from him. I think he can do better. Next up, Ghost Eaters by Clay McLeod Chapman. I was so excited for this book because I thought Whisper Down the Lane was a really interesting concept of, like, just a story about the Satanic Panic. And I thought this was interesting, the idea of using drugs to basically conduct seances and speak to the dead. I thought that was very interesting. I have an entire in-depth review on this book, and I'm going to just recommend that you read or watch that. Because I go into a lot of things. I do have some minor spoilers when I talk about it, and I'm not going to put any of those into this story, or into this review, because I don't want people who are potentially going to be reading this book to have any of those minor spoilers at all. But I was not a fan of this. This was a 3-star read for me. It's a very poorly veiled metaphor for people struggling with addiction. This will get a visceral reaction from you, regardless of if you like this book or hate this book. You do feel very helpless reading this book. And for that, it gets 3 stars for me, because it definitely got the emotional reaction Chapman wanted to get out of its readers, out of me. That being said, every single character in this book, every single one, even the minor ones, even the little side characters that you just see for a second, are unlikable. There's not a single person that I would want to hang out with, be friends with, root for in this entire novel. They're all despicable, and when you write nothing but despicable characters, and you write it kind of in a direction that you want the reader to sympathize with them, it's really hard to get through the book. And that was the #1 flaw with this novel. It also really played up a horror trope that has been making its rounds around the horror community for the last 2 years that I hate, and I've seen it too much. It's weird, and it'd be really cool if I saw like one every, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. But now that I've seen 3 within the last like year and a half, technically, I'm pretty annoyed. And I'm really over this trope, and I think it's been beaten to a pulp. It does not need to be done again anytime soon. And I really wish that I knew that it was going to take this angle from the beginning, but I talk about all of that in my in-depth review on this book, so I'm not going to talk about it here. 3-star read for me, not entertained with this book. Very unsettling and upsetting, and it was all over the place. And then last but not least, because I just hit so many like struggles this month, I was like, I can't keep reading a novel, like I need to just read some nonfiction. I'm hoping my New Orleans trip will finally happen in March. We will see. But I wanted to pick up Haunted New Orleans, The History and Hauntings of the Crescent City by Troy Taylor. I really like these series. They're all written by different authors, so some are real hit, some are real miss for me. This was more on the hit side. This is a 4-star read for me. And the only reason that I like struggled a little bit with this book is simply because the first half of this book, or at least the first like third, it's all about like just the general history of the founding of New Orleans. That's really, really, really cool, and I understand why it's in there to really explain a lot of the haunted places in this story. Probably could have done with something shorter. It was really in-depth for this history. And then the other thing that really bummed me out is there are a couple places in New Orleans that I know are haunted, that I know are very, very, very famous. Like the Hotel Monteleone and the Blacksmith Bar. And they just like weren't in here. And so that was a little bit of a bummer. Like I would have loved to read about Hotel Monteleone, and I would have loved to read about Blacksmith, especially because I'm trying to stay potentially at the Hotel Monteleone. And because I've been to the Blacksmith Bar, and the Blacksmith Bar is really cool, and it's really creepy. And like it feels haunted, and I think it's the oldest bar in America, potentially. The oldest like still running bar. Something like that. And it looks exactly like it did like way back when. Even parts of it don't have electricity. So I was just kind of bummed that some of those things weren't in there that I felt like I would have really loved to read more about. On the haunted travel thing, I will be going to Seattle in January. Most likely the trip is booked, just if something happens and the trip gets canceled, that would suck. But we booked a haunted hotel there, and then something happened and we weren't able to stay there, and then I booked another hotel that I just thought looked really cool and Victorian. Turns out that one's super haunted too, so very excited for that. I'll be staying at a haunted hotel in Seattle. Let me know any recommendations that you guys have for me when I am in Seattle. I'm really excited for it, so let me know in the comments down below. Anyways, that is all that I have for you guys today. I'm really hoping November is better. Yeah, I've been struggling. I've been in like a real reading slump recently. I feel like a lot of the books I've been picking up, I've just been like, ugh, I just don't like these. Or they're not, I'm just like not attached to them. Like I'm reading a book right now that had so much promise when I first started it, and it just like, I don't know. I needed to pick back up because right now I'm very confused and it's feeling very Twilighty, and I just don't really want to read about werewolf romances, and I just want one good, really strong werewolf novel, and those are so hard to find. Anyways, that is all that I have for you guys today. As always, I post every Monday and Thursday, sometimes on Saturdays, and if you enjoyed these videos, please hit the like and subscribe buttons down below, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Mwah.